Hey everyone, welcome back. I do know some people are saying that there are some sound issues. As of now, this is my only method of recording outside. This is the phone. Okay. People said the laptop had much better sound. When I listen to the video on my phone, I hear it perfectly fine. I hear it quite loudly actually. So I'm not sure what the exact issue is. Let me know in the comments what exactly it is. I'll try my best to speak louder, to speak more clearly, but as of now, this is the best I have, until I buy whatever, a microphone or something else, or I stick to recording indoors, but I can't do that because I love being out here. And it's a great place that helps me really clear my thoughts and get the message out that I'm trying to convey. So there have been some things that I have been giving some thought to. Specifically, I've been going over the work of Carlos Castaneda again. And I was just listening the other day, or rather today, to a couple of his tales with Don Juan. Now, I was noticing a lot of people regard his work as fiction. And, I don't think so, because, again, people want to ignore, deflect, and pretend it's not real. Anything that can be very harsh in truth. The truth can be very harsh, right? It's a double-edged sword. Now, the idea that these entities that we've been discussing on this channel, the astral entities, the ascended masters, both the positive and the negative, are more than likely egregores, is pervasive, right? They do seem to be more sentient than your typical egregore that you can go in the astral and create yourself. That can be kind of like an NPC and just follow you around. They seem to have more of a life force, but either way, both egregores and these beings, they know that they are in a system instinctively that they need other life forms to survive, or they need to consume other life forms in order for them to survive. Okay. Now, I've mentioned before on this channel that the only way these beings really have access to us is through our ego, right? It's the implanted personality that we saw in the movie Soul, right? When he turned around from the white light, where he really went to was actually the control room, right? Which was behind the scenes, the soul creation, or the personality attribution to these souls, right? They're regarded as new souls. And many people have also reported this upon turning away from the light, is then entering this control room. Now, I used to think that you would be more like a wandering ghost, where you're stuck in between the astral and the earth, kind of maybe in the ether, which I think maybe is likely still possible. But according to these accounts, they're going straight to the control room. It's kind of like they're facing, this is good. So when you're on stage and when you die, you face the projector, which could be the moon, right? You're facing the projector. You're in the movie. You just come out of the movie. Now you can see the projector, right? You're in the stands or in the seats or whatever, but on stage. Seats are in front of you and then you see the projector, right? You turn away from the projector and there you go behind the curtain. I don't know. Is that how things are also structured? Is that kind of like right in our face type of thing that we never noticed? I don't know, that just came to me. So that's they get to the control room, and in this control room, these archons, or these archetypes from the architect, are assigned to us as a personality in the form of signs, zodiac signs, for example, right? So these signs, or these sigils, these astronomical, astrological characteristics are given to us, which one may argue, well, of course, they were also egregores created by people looking up at the stars and, oh, that looks like a bull, that looks like a calf or cow or whatever. a goat that looks like a man, a centaur, which is interesting. Where did they get a centaur from? Like half man, half horse. Where did that come from? They must have seen it somewhere, right? Whatever you think, that does have energy. But again, why do we never see different signs, different stars, the same constellations over and over again? Is it possible that they are in some way lights on a firmament, or some sort of energetic bases or whatever that are impacting us, right? We see how the moon impacts us. We see how these bodies, these celestial bodies, or whatever they are, impact us, right? There's a reason that these things look watery through a telescope. It's very interesting, right? Now that's besides the point where I was going, but regardless, it's the ego, the mind. People say there's no ego. Well, there is. It's your mind. It's the mental chatter that is happening within you, right? It's nonstop. Oh, I gotta do this. Oh, I gotta do that. Blah, 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 blah. He did this. You criticize yourself, you know, your own traumas. All of these that are somewhat conscious and mostly unconscious or subconscious are affecting you. They're nudging you. They're giving you impulses, right? And that's basically what Castaneda was saying very directly, actually. That, and a video I just watched yesterday saying the exact same thing. That every move you make, every action is actually impulsed, or what's the word? Created, induced by a benevolent being or a malevolent being. There's a good force, there's a bad force, and that's reminding me of Star Wars, right? The light versus the dark. Darth Vader versus Luke the Skywalker. Darth Vader, the Dark Father, Saturn, versus Luke the Skywalker, walking the sky throughout the day. The sun, father and son. Dark versus light. It's the same energetic forces, positive versus negative. One pulls, one pushes, up and down we go. And the mind reacts, because the mind does not think by itself. Rene Descartes said, I think, therefore I am. Yes, that's the mind. The mind thinks, therefore it is the ego. So most definitely the ego exists. But all those that seek, especially the one true source, come to the understanding that there is something behind the mind. Just like there is a curtain behind the projector, there's an awareness behind the ego. And you must be wondering, well, what is that? How do you tap into that? What is being aware, right? And I think that is our true source principle. The mind can only become maybe purified from its divine spark, but the ego is the ego. It's there. It's constantly influenced by these good and bad forces, by the good cop and bad cop, the good parent, the loving parent, and the narcissistic, traumatizing parent. And it feeds on this. That good parent, from what I've observed through psychology, a loving parent feeds off the love of their children. They live vicariously through them. That's that conditionally loving parent. Again, it's another trauma as well. But still, even if you're loving, if you're good to your kids, you want them to be good because they're your kids, because you love them for what they bring to you, which is happiness. But if all of a sudden that kid rejected that loving parent, how many could still love them regardless? How many could still be like, okay, I love you enough to walk away and do your own thing, even though I know you would get hurt? And that's usually what happens throughout life. Now, the traumatized parent doesn't care. They traumatize the kid because that makes them feel good as well. That's how they were brought up. And it's the same with these forces. Let me compare this to the animals that we farm, right? Now, for a toxic person, this makes no difference how you farm the animal, whether it's cut in suffering or swiftly, without fear, brought up, lovingly, not without the chickens being in small fences, right, under stress. For a toxic person, actually eating a very loving meal would feel weird to them, right? Because it's a different energetic match, different energetic vibration. So for them, eating a toxic meal would feel normal. They'll maybe even feel energized. On the contrary, for a more positive person, eating a toxic, unhealthy meal brings them down. It weighs them down. It's heavy, right? It energetically bogs them down. So people eat more well-raised things. But in the end, they're still consuming that being. When a farmer loves that cow and he brings her up with love, in the end, he still milks the cow. He still consumes the cow for her meat. Some maybe not, wouldn't have the gall anymore because they become emotionally attached, right? Maybe they actually start seeing that cow as a being. But in the end, this is the realm that we reside in. And it's the same way with these entities. Why do you think that they keep sending us back to become more loving? Because we weren't a good enough meal for them. We weren't positive enough for them to then feast on us directly, would cause them to also become darker, like the astral beings. This is what I've been concluding recently, okay? Now, let's go back to that awareness principle. You may think, well then, okay, positivity, negativity, there's no way out of this. You're still going to be consumed. Again, that's why I've come to this idea of neutrality, which is not even neutrality. It's simply awareness. It's literally stopping your mind. And people may say, no, that's impossible. Honestly, we've all had those short bursts where we felt so at peace and have had no thoughts because we refuse to give them energy. Thoughts, like egregores, which are egregores, become egregores. The more energy you give them, the more you feed them. If you refuse to entertain them, you catch yourself the moment that you go into that thought. You don't spiral into it anymore. You don't fulfill its story and entertain its possibilities and on and on and on. You cut it off. Your awareness is crisp. And instead of the electromagnetic wave going as high as possible, its peak is now very subtle. And you return to that neutral base. Of course, it will have an equal and opposite reaction in the negative direction, right? So its peak and trough will not be as great. So here's your normal wave, then all of a sudden the waters become still, right? And that's why it's bad to be around lakes, because lakes are actually energy suckers because they have no energy themselves. They're not moving, right? They're still. It's almost a sense of, it is a sense of serenity, of peace, right? You feel at peace, but you also feel drained. They say that it takes your electrolytes. Now, in the sense, you wouldn't become energetic drainers yourselves. You're energetic vampires because you're not allowing yourself to go in either direction anymore. So what happens is that noise starts subsiding, and the true mind, or your true essence, which has been weakened, starts rising, starts coming to the surface, and you being able to hear it. Castaneda describes this as our Oric Field that constantly gets fed upon, and currently it is at our toes. Now, very similar to maybe even semen retention, where not only do you stop engaging in sexual activity, but you stop also thinking about it, lusting after it. That begins to rise. Right now I haven't fully figured out how good it is to crucify the chrism, obviously, but I understand. I'm pretty okay with, subsiding lust or passion, the passions of the heart. We've talked about that before, right? Now, once that auric field begins to rise, that field in general, that energetic, or not energetic, but that spirit, likely our true self comes to the surface again. And is that really the power that we need to finally exit through our intent here? Because we likely already have that power in the astral. But rather than waiting for that, moment for death, is there work that we can actually do here to build ourselves back up, right? If we're constantly being fed upon, can we stop it? And then can we build ourselves back up? Okay. So that's something to think about. It's likely that once that mind subsides, you're able to injure it severely. You won't kill it right away, right? The fears will come in, the doubting, the self-doubting. The ego will try to get a hold of you again and rule your daily life. But many people, I've seen and I've listened to many people, they've quieted themselves, quieted their minds, not allowed other things to pull their attention away. It's a very strong intent. And what actually started happening is things started happening, manifesting in their lives, demanding their attention, demanding that they get engaged, right? And it's, in my opinion, the Matrix. It's the Matrix trying to extract energy from you again because it's scared, right? It has that anxiety. It's always fearful that you will say stop, that you will stop becoming, or you'll stop being an energetic food source for it. And then it starts to attack. It starts to try and get you to engage again. And you have to back it into a corner. And when things get backed into a corner, they use all their weapons, all their available options, right? Because they're desperate. And that's likely what happens. And in order to pull yourself... Hey guys, it seems I ran out of space right towards the end of that video, which is good. At least I was able to get most of the video out. But, I guess it seems to be an important video because it got cut off. All right, I don't think I made any points towards that end that I really wanted to share. Or I think I got everything out, is what I'm trying to say. So that should be it for the video. If you guys enjoyed it, please leave a like, subscribe, let me know in the comments what you thought, and I'll see you guys next time. Okay, take care, bye.